Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Gravekeeper deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck is an extremely nostalgic deck that can control the board and even the graveyard with its extremely powerful field spell, Necro Valley. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Again, your name description in a single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Gravekeeper Commandant. This card is definitely a 3-of in the build, as this card literally searches Necro Valley. You can discard this card to the graveyard to add 1 Necro Valley from your deck to your hand, which is an important effect to be able to use so that we can instantly get to our field spell. We then play 3 copies of Gravekeeper Spiritualist. Spiritualist is really good as a 3-of in the deck, because this card is literally walking polymerization. During your main phase, if Necro Valley is on the field, you can fusion summon a spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using this card you control and other monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, which is a really cool effect to instantly go in for a copy of Gravekeeper Supernaturalist. We then play 2 copies of Gravekeeper's Headman. This card is really good as a 2-of in the build because this card has the ability, if it's summoned, you get to target a level 4 Gravekeeper monster in your graveyard and special summon it in attack position or face down defense position. But you only use the effect of this card once per turn, and this effect is unaffected by Necro Valley, which is a great effect. We then play a single copy of Gravekeeper's Heretic. This card is an amazing 1-of in the build that has a really cool ability. This card on the field is unaffected by all other card effects as long as Necro Valley is on the field, which is a pretty cool ability to use with this card. We then play a single copy of the Red Eyes Black Dragon, and a single copy of the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense, the Dark Magician. These cards are awesome at 1 each in the deck, so we can go for our copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, which is an awesome card to be able to put on the field alongside our copy of Necro Valley, just to be able to control the board. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get in to the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is a really good 1-of the deck that can search out our most powerful card in the entire deck, Necro Valley. We then play 2 copies of Hidden Temples of Necro Valley. This card is really good as a 2-of in the deck with a really awesome ability that you can activate. You can only activate this card if both a Gravekeeper monster and Necro Valley are on the field. Neither player can special summon monsters except Gravekeeper monsters, and if either a Gravekeeper monster or Necro Valley is not on the field, destroy this card. This card is an amazing lockdown card. It's just really powerful to be able to play as a 2-of in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Necro Valley Throne. This card is basically Rhoda for the deck, with the ability to let you add a Gravekeeper monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect to instantly get the exact card that you need. We then play 3 copies of Necro Valley. Necro Valley is definitely a 3-of the deck, just helping you lock down the graveyard. This also makes all of your Gravekeeper monsters gain 500 attack and defense points, which is a great ability for this card to have, but it's one of the most powerful field spells ever created. We then play 3 copies of Royal Tribute. Royal Tribute is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card is absolutely broken. This card has the ability, if you control Necro Valley, both players discard any monsters in their hand, which is such a powerful effect to basically just get rid of every single monster in your opponent's hand and yours, which is why we play such a low monster count in this build. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is really good in this deck to be able to dig into the deck for the exact card that you need. It's just an overall fantastic card in this build. We then play 3 copies of Red Eyes Fusion. Red Eyes Fusion is definitely a 3-of in the deck to basically just use this card to go in for Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This card is amazing because we can instantly use monsters in our deck like our copies of Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon to step into one of our main boss monsters, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Poly is really good in this build to basically just break your opponent's board and go for some awesome boss monsters while also outing your opponent's cards on the field. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Necro Valley Temple. Necro Valley Temple is really cool as a one-of in the deck, because while a Gravekeeper monster and Necro Valley are both on the field, monsters that your opponent control lose 500 attack and defense. And once per turn, during the main phase, if you control no card in your field spell zone, you can activate a Necro Valley directly from your hand or your graveyard. And if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the grave, you can set a Necro Valley spell or trap directly from your deck to your side of the field, except another copy of this card, which is a really cool ability. We then play a single copy of Imperial Tombs of Necro Valley. This card is an awesome counter trap to use in the deck to basically just say no to your opponent. This card helps out a lot in the build because when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated while both a Gravekeeper monster and Necro Valley are on the field, you negate the effect, and if you do, destroy it, which is a really powerful ability. We then play 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute is really good in the deck because your copy of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon cannot be destroyed by card effects, so this card just makes it so basically you destroy your opponent's monsters and we get to keep Dragoon on the field, which is an amazing ability. This card helps out a lot in the deck to surprise your opponent as a board breaker, and it's just a fantastic card overall in this build. We then also play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment just says no to anything, which is why we play this card as a 3-of in the deck. I absolutely love Solemn Judgment in this build because it helps us protect a lot of cards like Necro Valley by just paying half our life points. And we can afford to do that in this build, and I really like this card overall in the deck to basically just set to your side of the field and just wait it out to be able to protect your copy of Necro Valley, and it's an overall fantastic card. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with one of our main boss monsters, Gravekeeper's Supernaturalist. You only really need 2 copies of this card in the build, and it's a fantastic boss monster that just takes any 2 Gravekeeper monsters to make this card. It gains attack and defense equal to the combined original levels of the materials used for its fusion summon times 100, which usually it's just going to gain 800 attack points for its summon because you're going to use 2 level 4s to summon out this card. This card also has the ability while Necro Valley is on the field, this card and any card in the field zone cannot be destroyed by card effects, and during your main phase you can activate this effect that during the end phase this turn you get to add a Gravekeeper card or a Necro Valley card from your deck to your hand, which is a pretty cool effect to be able to use during basically just to grab the exact card that you need during the end phase. We then play a single copy of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. You only need a single copy of this card, but since we're using vanillas to be able to make this card, it really helps out in this deck to be able to do burn damage, and it's also just an amazing card. It cannot be destroyed by card effects, and neither player can target this card with card effects, and also during your main phase, you can destroy a monster that your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack points, and use this effect up to the number of times that you used basically normal monsters to make this card. So if you use both your copy of Dark Magician and your copy of Red Eye's Black Dragon to make this card, you can actually pop 2 monsters a turn to be able to do burn damage to your opponent, which will just close out games. This card is also walking negate by discarding a card, which is absolutely amazing and just really helps out in this build. We then play a single copy of Dracos Depalia. This card is a great super poly target and just an overall fantastic card to help you just go in for game because it is a walking negate. We then play a single copy of Garua because it'll let us draw a card if it does touch the graveyard, but it's also a great super poly target. We then play a single copy of Mud Dragon. Mud Dragon is also fantastic as a 1-of in the deck as a super poly target. We then play a single copy of Baguska. Baguska just helps out a lot in the deck to be able to slow down the game, and just a fantastic 1-of. We then play a single copy of our Typhon. Typhon is really good in the deck because it's really good to be able to play in just about every single deck because you can make this card in a lot of different situations, and it's a fantastic card. We then play a single copy of AA Zeus. Zeus is really good in the deck as a 1-of because it's very easy to make to be able to board wipe the field. You don't summon it all that often, but it's still a really good option to be able to make. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code is really good as a 1-of in the build because it comes out absolutely massive. It's just a fantastic card to be able to make to OTK your opponent. We play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff, 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and then we play a single copy of SP Little Knight. Now, SP Little Knight could be changed out for a copy of Cerberus if you want to, for another budget option for you guys instead of playing SP Little Knight, because I know this card is expensive, but it is a double interruption if you do have it. If you don't, you can play a copy of Cerberus instead, and you can play a copy of Boral Sword Dragon instead of a copy of Access Code Talker, because Access Code Talker does come out absolutely massive. You can't really get rid of cards out of the graveyard because of Necro Valley, so you can play it if you want to, but I really like Access Code because it's a good option to be able to make. We can play a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP is great to be able to make in the deck, so we can make our copy of our Nightmare Unicorn or a copy of SP Little Knight during the opponent's turn. And then finally play a single copy of Alamirage. Alamirage is really cool to be able to play in the deck, so you can normal summon out your copy of Gravekeeper's Headman, bring back a copy of a Gravekeeper to your side of the field, link away your copy of Headman into this card, and then once you do, you already have a monster that's basically a monster that's special from the extract to step into your copy of SP Little Knight. So Gravekeeper's Headman is basically a one card SP Little Knight, which is absolutely broken. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Gravekeeper deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try, because it's really fun to be able to play, to just control the board, and it's an amazing deck overall to be able to play because it's one of Yu-Gi-Oh's, one of the first archetypes ever created. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.